go to the pollinator garden.
Yeah!
Here it is.
Welcome to the pollinator garden.
What's a garden doing in the middle of the woods?
Well, this garden is here for several reasons. The number one reason it's here is for insects. We have lots of native plants growing here to provide food for the native insects. We like to use plants that are native to this area because we feel like that's the best way to make sure the local insects get what they need to live. We have more than 50 species of plants growing here, and we like to have something blooming from early spring until late fall. There's another reason this garden is here, and that's for people like you that like to visit. We hope that you'll come and see how beautiful native plants are and how fun and interesting it is to watch the insects. And we hope you'll be inspired to go home and plant some native plants in your own yard so that you can help pollinators too. A garden like this needs lots of helpers, so we have a lot of volunteers. Would you like to meet one?
Yes.
All right. Hey, Marsha.
Hi kids, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to our garden. Do you know what a pollinator is?
Yes.
What is it? Tell me.
It's like an insect or bug that travels into a flower and collects pollen on its legs. And like the pollen sits to its legs, and then it goes to another flower, and then the pollen like drops off and gets onto the other flower to help it grow.
That's perfect.
Exactly right.
That's so good. And do you know what happens once a plant gets pollinated? This is what you were telling me was going to happen, okay? The bug comes to get the pollen, and it goes to the anther first, and that's where you told me it landed. And then it goes over to the stigma, and the pollen gets on the stigma. And it goes down here, and it makes a seed. And what happens once we get a seed?
When it dies, the seed will plant a new flower to grow.
It will. We can get new flowers. And do you know that 1/3 of the food that you eat is thanks to pollinators? Can you think of something you might eat that came from a honey? That's right. What else might you eat that came from a pollinator? It's big, red, and juicy.
Apple?
Apples, yeah. If it weren't for apples, we wouldn't. If it weren't for pollinators, we wouldn't have apples.
And also peaches.
Peaches, exactly.
Look, it's a big butterfly. I wonder what she likes about these plants.
Hi. Different types of pollinators like different flowers. Butterflies are attracted to flowers that are pink, purple, red, yellow, and orange, that are flat-topped or clustered and that have short flower shoots. Monarchs, like me, especially like pink, purple, and red flowers. Also important for butterflies are what we call host plants because they feed the caterpillars. These plants are milkweed and they're the only food that monarch caterpillars will eat. They're also especially good because they provide nectar for the butterflies. You should plant nectar plants in the sun because butterflies need warmth to fly.
What do you think that is?
That's a bee nesting block. Now, bees are really important pollinators. If it wasn't for bees, we wouldn't have most of our favorite fruits and vegetables. So we try and help out the native bees by providing them food, pollen, and nectar for their babies, all the flowers we see in the garden. But we also give them housing. Just like you put up birdhouse for your bluebirds to nest in, we put up bee blocks. And some of the native bees are not real picky. They'll nest in the ground, they'll dig their own little tunnel, so we just need to leave some undisturbed ground for them. But some of them, the mason bees, the leafcutter bees, they need pre-made holes to nest in. So there's a couple of things we can do for them. We can either just take a bundle of bamboo, or we can take some wood blocks and drill holes in them, and then stick them on the fence posts around the garden. And the bees can move in, and when they're occupied, you see they're covered up by little bits of mud or leaf. So that's how you know they're baby bees in there. And we try and keep these close to the flowers so the bees don't have to travel too far to get pollen and nectar for their babies. Now, have you all met any of the bees in the garden?
I think we saw some buttons.
Yeah, well, why don't we go see if we can find some, and I'll introduce you to them.
Bye-bye. We hope you'll come back to the pollinator garden again.
Bye.